So, welcome to Master Your Metabolism. And we talk about changing your relationship with food to transform your life. And today we are talking to Vernay Brandt. Vernay, welcome. And we are going to find out
Thank you,
about
Sean.
your journey. And if I remember correctly, you increased your vitality. You most certainly lost some weight, which was great. And then you also had amazing results around symptoms with menopause, which was quite exciting as well. And hopefully
Yes.
we can dig into that somewhat. So stay
Yeah.
tuned. We're going to have a great conversation. Vinay,
Okay.
tell me a bit more about your just what you do. And I see Bluestone Digital back there, and give us a bit more about who you are and what you do for a living.
Yeah. I own a digital marketing agency, Bluestone Digital,
Mm-hmm.
and been doing business for 5 years now. And that's what keeps me mainly busy. So with an online business, because we don't have a physical office, sometimes you're office bound and you
Yeah.
don't get to move a lot as well. And a person
Mm-hmm.
that get lazy and you would go into it was easy to access the cupboard, the grocery cupboard, and just
Yeah.
eat what you can find, you
Sure. Yeah.
know?
And that's, yeah, you tend to, I also work from home. And pretty much online business. And I find the same thing. It's like your fridge is whispering to you all the time. It's always there in the back of your mind, beckoning you.
Yeah,
And but
exactly.
speaking of which, so what was your life like before joining the 16 Hours for Life program from a nutrition perspective, and how did you view food and engage with food?
Well, I didn't make it a priority. I mean, I've been living in Cape Town since 2015, which is about
Mm-hmm.
10 years now. And my whole lifestyle changed when I moved to Cape Town. When I was living in Joburg, I was going to gym twice a day. I was eating healthy. And then when I moved to Cape Town, that kind of like didn't become a priority anymore.
Yeah.
And my weight fluctuated a lot, but then menopause hit and everything I did, um, I I tried a lot of diets. I even went on a lipolytic diet as
Okay.
well as injectables, and that helped for a while. But when you start eating again, then you start picking up all that weight.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, that worked because you had a 500 calorie food that you were allowed to eat during the day. But then
Sure.
when you try and maintain it, it
Mm.
wasn't a viable way of going
Yeah.
about it. And I also, with menopause symptoms and that, there was a lot of inflammation,
Mm-hmm.
my joints, my fingers. I started feeling it a lot, and
Mm.
also my neck and my
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
specifically as
Wow.
well.
Yeah. Sure. And yeah, just you mentioning calories and the certain a specific amount of calories. Um, it's difficult counting calories, right? It makes it so it's very unsustainable. That's been my experience.
Yeah.
To just work according to calories. And I also felt that if I do count calories, I'm constantly hungry. Was that also your experience?
Yes, no,
Mm.
definitely. I mean,
Mm.
you lose weight, but as soon as you start putting certain food categories back into your diet,
Mm.
then you start easy just to pick up weight easy again, and it's not sustainable at all.
Yeah. And it one feels quite deprived doing
Yeah.
a calorie restricted diet. And I found that so often people would say that to me that It's been their normal journey through weight loss, wanting to lose weight. And typically, that's where the yo yo dieting is through a type of a
Mm.
calorie restrictive diet, which seems to be the norm for most of these weight loss type programs is count your calories, do portion control, and then, it's you do get results, as you say, but then the sustainability is the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it has to be a lifestyle change.
Mm,
You know, you've got to you can cheat every now and again. There's nothing wrong with having a cheat meal,
yeah.
but you feel so guilty when you are restricted because the
Mm.
smallest little cheat you can actually see
Yeah, yeah, that's
on
right.
your
And guilt
on
is
your
such a
plate.
big part of our relationship with food, isn't it? Specifically,
Yeah,
if we really are conscious about what we are eating. And I think a lot of that guilt actually comes from not really understanding what the impact of certain foods are on us. And we're trying to do the willpower method, and then we fail at willpower because willpower is a
yeah.
fickle mistress, is it not? It's very, very difficult to do things to the willpower thing. We've all experienced that.
Yeah, but I also think that you have to have the right mindset. When you put your mind to it, then it's easy.
Mm,
Your mind just needs to be right
sure. Very,
as well.
very
But
important for
irrespective,
any change.
and that's what I had to do when I started this program with you as well, is that I had to get my mindset right. I
Yeah.
had to change the way I look at food.
Mm. And speaking of starting the program, what was it? Was there a specific moment that you realized that you wanted to get your mindset right, that you want to engage with a program like 16 Hours for Life? What was there a trigger point for you, or anything specific that happened that made you decide
I
to
was
take the
just no,
plunge?
I was just miserable because all my clothes didn't fit me anymore, and I refused to go and buy new clothes.
Yeah.
I mean, with the menopausal tummy, it's quite difficult.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. I hear you.
Sitting on a couch and you're uncomfortable.
Yeah, so yeah, at some stage it just becomes time to either do something about it or accept. And obviously, acceptance wasn't part of your mantra.
No,
It's like do something
no,
about it, yeah. Because I mean, as you
no,
said, you've had
because
a history of being, yeah,
I've always had a slim body. I mean, I've never had a problem like this
yeah,
before, and it does it destroys your self-confidence.
yes, sure, absolutely. And let's talk about the program, and let's talk about engaging with a program. Can you describe, if you can remember, those first couple of weeks, getting used to the idea of being in a meeting, arriving for meetings online on a weekly basis, starting to engage with the software, meal tracking, getting used to doing that on a continuous basis? What was that like for you?
It wasn't difficult to do because I
Mhm.
think when I made the decision to do the whole program, it was very informative because you get to realize the foods that you're eating, what I mean that it's so high in calorie, well, carbs, because we
Mhm.
were looking at carbs. And I didn't realize how much carb intake I was actually putting into my mouth.
Yeah, yeah. And that is the realization, I think, for most people, that one only picks up on when you are physically measuring and recording and tracking and also relating to a specific target that we have. And isn't that just amazing to see the amount of carbohydrates, specifically very processed carbohydrates that we, without even knowing it, are
Um,
putting into our
but
bodies.
e but even fruit,
Mm,
I mean, I used to eat bananas and apples. It was my go-to if I was hungry.
yeah,
And that is actually what I thought was fine, and people think that it is healthy, but actually it's not.
Yeah. But that's what we get told. We get told fruit are wonderful. They are, but they do come with a lot of sugar. And as we had experienced, overconsumption of sugar is a major issue, specifically if one wants to be metabolically healthy. Now, speaking of the sugars, how did you find and how did you adapt to going lower carbohydrates? And remember, we actually go very low on carbohydrates. Was that difficult for you? And how did your transition to a lower carbohydrate diet influence you physically?
Look, I didn't take a lot of sugar, although I did have a lot of cravings. I was eating a lot of chocolate, but that's
Yeah.
because of my husband. He's got a sweet tooth and there's always chocolate in the house. So
Yeah.
when you're stressing
Okay.
that, that's the first thing that you run to is a chocolate.
Sure. Yeah.
So it was also for him, it was a mindset change as well,
Mm,
because I had to ask him, please don't come. And in the beginning, it was very difficult for me because when you go cold turkey with sweet things like chocolate and that's what you've been eating, the smell
mm. Yeah.
that is intensified. So
Yeah.
you're sitting with somebody eating cake and chocolate. And it really drove me crazy in the beginning. But once
Sure.
I got over it, it took me 2 weeks, but then it
Mm,
didn't bother me anymore.
yeah.
Now people can sit next to me and it doesn't
And
matter.
it's okay. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
amazing how we only by going through this process realize how addicted we are to this whole sugar thing, and how in those 2 weeks that you explain now is that we are of this heightened awareness of the sugar around us because we are so used to actually having it and being so addicted to it. But then you said two
Mm.
weeks and that feeling went away.
Yeah.
It was okay.
Yeah. Then it was okay. I mean, it still doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Now and again, I mean, I will have a little bit of a chocolate, but I'm more mindful as to what chocolate I eat.
Yeah. And that word mindful is so important because just by
Yeah.
having a little bit of discernment, we can actually dodge a lot of the harmful stuff, like the right type of chocolate, the right type
Mm.
of fruits, and so forth. And these are the type of things that we get
Yeah.
exposed to through the program. Now, you mentioned
Yeah.
your husband with his chocolates. Talk to me about how important it was and still is to have a supportive community around one, specifically when you actually try and change your habits like this. And changing your food habits is not easy.
Yeah, it is important because you've got to tell them. I mean, but it's also your willpower as well. So he was very mindful of the fact if he wants to sit in the bed and eat a chocolate or um, eat a packet of chips, because crisps also the smell of it. I
Mm,
mean, one crisps are very addictive because when you just start eating that, you can't stop.
yeah.
And I hate it when you go to a braai and everyone has got these bowls of crisps all over the place, and then you've got to sit there and you can't eat any of it.
Yeah.
So it's very important to have a support system. When people come to us for a braai, I don't put out crisps. I put
Oh, okay.
out a
Yeah.
healthy snack.
Yeah, yeah. And people love that though. I mean, you don't have
Mm.
to put out the crisps and the pretzels and all of these normal snacky things when you actually put out healthy, protein-based, mainly protein-based snacks. People love it. I've heard people actually say to me that when they go to social functions and they'll take their own snacks, they'll provide their own snacks as part of their contribution. They actually freak out because their snacks get eaten first by everybody, and then
Yeah,
it's
that
the
is
unhealthy snack
true.
that gets left over. It's like, come on, it's very interesting that people, if given the choice, they actually go for the nutrient dense, healthy type foods, which is protein based cheeses and these type of things. They are very, very interesting. Let's talk about you and going through the program and your transformation. What were the standout results that you achieved going through this 12-week process?
In total, I lost 8 kilograms, which for me, because I'm short, was a lot.
Yeah. I think if I remember
But
correctly, it was over 10% of your body weight. It was quite a lot.
yeah,
Yeah.
and um, I still lost when I finished the program as well because you're still eating healthy.
Yes. And that's very important. That's a very important thing that you're actually bringing up, is that most certainly what we'd like from the program perspective is to view the 12 weeks as a bit of a boot camp where you learn a lot and then also learn how to put the principles in practice in one's lifestyle, with the idea, of course, of continuing with the principles which you've very, very successfully done. And congratulations on doing that. That's wonderful.
Okay.
So talk us through that. Not just the program itself, but where you are now and what you've achieved up to now.
So I think what was important for me is the fact that my menopausal symptoms started to subside. And I
Wow.
think that was the main reason why I continued and am continuing eating the way I am now, is because of that. I don't have any more night sweats. And that was incredibly important for me because it was disrupting my sleep.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden you start sweating, and then before you realize that the whole sheet is wet,
Mm,
and
yeah.
that disrupts your sleep because you start getting cold, your whole bed is wet, and it's not nice sleeping on a, um, a sheet that is wet.
Mm, mm,
So that was the main thing. I do not have any more night sweats. That's totally gone.
mm,
My menopausal symptoms, I occasionally still get a little bit of a hot flush, but
mhm.
it's not nearly as bad as what it was.
Okay. Yeah. And you would put that down to going out of your way to make sure that you are not eating too many carbohydrates. Literally what it's
Yeah.
about, right? Yeah. And it's amazing how carbohydrates, and we can interchange carbohydrates with sugar because that is what it gets turned into in our body. How sugar just actually pulls our hormones and our hormone balance apart. It just makes it so difficult for our body to yeah, just to be normal and have normal levels. So most certainly it's something that you've experienced. I would imagine that was your biggest surprise, right? I mean, when we spoken, I
Yeah.
remember correctly, we were talking about being healthier, losing some weight. Um, but in the beginning, it was not the target
No, it was
to
losing weight,
yeah,
basically.
yeah, that's right. And then this came up, and I was so pleased when you actually mentioned that for the first time. So, wow, that's really a fantastic result. And it's so many women have this problem with menopausal symptoms, and it really comes out in a lot of different ways. But we've seen it
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
just eating
And
differently can make a significant difference, and it's not small; it's significant.
no, it is. I mean, you sleep better as well because
Mm,
you can you sleep through the night because you don't wake up and there's no night sweats.
Yeah. Yeah. And how having a better night's sleep reduces stress. It reduces one's cravings and one's appetite. It aids recovery. We all know how very important sleep is. And
Mm,
so many people do tell us that eating healthily gives them a better night's sleep. It's wonderful. This,
yeah,
the solution is so simple. We just need to um, apply certain principles, which is very
no,
important.
that's
Yeah.
true.
Okay. If you come across somebody now and they would ask your advice about what they can do just to be healthier, is there one tip, one thing that really stands out for you? One thing that somebody can do to just feel healthier overall? What would that be? What would the one thing be for you that really makes a big difference?
Cut out carbs because people think that they need to be educated on what types of carbs
Mm,
and learning that um, eating healthy is not necessarily eating fruit, and you don't need to live on fruit in order to be healthy.
mm,
I'm not saying that you should cut out fruit totally because I will have a fruit once a week
yeah.
now.
Mm,
Um, it's just you've got to be careful as to what types of carbs you eat because you don't realize the damage it actually does to your body.
sure. And you mentioned now eating a fruit maybe once a week. And a lot of people listening to this might just go, but oh, word, I can't do that. I mean, I'm used to having 2 to 3 different fruits a day. And it's supposed to be healthy. What's the story about fruit?
Yeah.
Um, I would imagine for me it was the same, and I think I'm hearing the same from you as well, that as with the bread, the pastas, the whatever the highly processed carbohydrates might have been in the past, or the cake that you mentioned, that in the first 2 weeks one would go, oh, I really want some of that. That's fantastic. But the craving goes and the need to eat these items, it goes. So, do you miss fruit at all? Is it something that's difficult for you to engage in less regularly? How's that working out for you?
No, I still buy fruit
Mm-hmm.
because everyone else eats fruit and the kids need the fruit in the house. So it is, yeah, to eat, but I just don't buy
Yeah.
as much. Where I
Yeah.
used to buy a box of bananas, I'll buy a small little packet of bananas so
Okay.
that there's some fruit in the house for everyone else. I
Yeah.
just won't, I just
Okay.
won't eat it.
Yeah. And has your process or your experience in cutting out carbohydrates, we haven't spoken about intermittent fasting. We'll talk about that just now. But your habits around food, has that impacted or influenced your household or the people in your household at all?
No, they didn't have much of a choice. They have to eat what I make.
Okay. All right. So it most certainly influenced their choice in so far as they didn't have a choice. Um,
Yeah.
have you noticed any change with them from a health perspective or how they view food? Do they more consciously think about food? What has the change been for you?
No, well, my husband also lost a little bit of weight. He
Mm-hmm.
doesn't even realize that he did, but I
Okay.
think it's
Yeah.
he just, I think it's the way I cook food, the
Mm-hmm.
types of food that I give him as
Yeah.
well. And but he's used to potatoes and rice and all of that where I just don't make it anymore. I will
Yeah.
make, so for instance, if he really wants a starch type of a vegetable, then I'll make him some
Mm,
and I just won't eat it.
yeah. Okay. I hear you. Um, so Vinay, I really like um, to ex well, to experience your transformation was really amazing. You stuck to the principles of the program very, very well, and it's amazing for me to hear. And also, we do see each other regularly in the real world, not on the in the matrix like we are now, and to see how you are consistently practicing the principles and how you are making progress continuously around your health, which is really, really cool. It does seem that you have adopted this as a not just a short term project,
Yeah,
but a
it's a
lifestyle.
lifestyle
Talk to
change.
us about that.
So I'm still eating the way I'm with the program. I plan my meals. I make sure that there's food in the house if I need to eat, that it's
Yeah.
in the fridge. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so there's a lot of planning. I make sure that if I'm hungry, I know what to eat. I just don't go and grab a piece of bread and eat that.
Yeah.
I've gone off bread totally.
Mm.
Um, I've got my own, you get this carb-free bread. So if I do want a piece of bread, I have that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Um, so it's just about being consistent
Mm. And
and
planning.
and planning as well.
Mm. Mm.
You know, even alcohol, I'm very conscious of what I drink as well now. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have ciders, I've never been a beer drinker. And that I stay away from totally. If
Yeah.
I want a glass of wine, I'll have a glass of wine, but
Yeah.
I don't go overboard with it. I'll have
Yeah.
one glass, and it's like once every 2 to 3 weeks, I'll have a glass of wine.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's
If we go away,
yeah, you go.
if we go away for a weekend, I I'm very conscious of what I drink.
Mm.
Because when you're socializing, you don't want to sit there just with a glass of water. So
Sure.
I'm just careful of what I'm drinking and how
Yeah.
much I'm
Yeah.
drinking.
Yeah. And alcohol is such a very interesting topic when we talk about losing weight and getting healthier. And yeah, we know alcohol as a substance is not good for our health. It's actually a bit of a poison. But socially, it's something when also enjoy a glass of wine and I'll have a whiskey every now and then. Most certainly, it's a social event, enjoying some drinks. But also, as with food, I think it's just so important to be conscious, as you are
Yeah,
saying now, about what we have, how much we have, and then also the indirect impact. I know for me, I've made all of my best decisions in life when I've had a couple of drinks. That doesn't happen. So it's typically when we actually want to be conscious about our health. Alcohol works against that in our decision making. You know, it's much
yeah,
easier to order the pizza after 2 or 3 drinks than it is when you're absolutely sober. So that's one way that alcohol also works against us. And alcohol increases our appetite. So an increased appetite, um, diminished ability to make good decisions for ourselves, that's not a good combination, specifically if you're trying to lose weight and you are trying to be healthy. So you are also
yeah,
managing that in a very, very good way.
yeah.
And I'm hoping also not feeling deprived. In
No, no, because I mean you need balance as well.
mm, mm, yeah, for sure. And we've had people on the program that has had very, very good results, but they just said that they're not going to give up their glass of wine in the evening, and they continue to enjoy that. And on a moderate level, there are people that can actually get good results, remain um, uh, true to the principles of the program, and get good results by regularly having alcohol, but just in very small amounts, which is very important. And each and every one of us need to figure out what amount of alcohol, what amount of carbohydrates our bodies can tolerate. And that's one thing that the
Yeah,
program helps us to figure out, right?
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Vinay, thank you very much. Is there anything else that you want to add to the conversation about your experience with the program, or where you are now and your consciousness around your health and food and your relationship to food?
No, I mean, I just also manage because I'm also doing the intermittent fasting now,
Mm,
and sometimes you you're just conscious of the time that you're supposed to be eating as well.
yeah.
And I've adapted to that quite well.
Mm. Yeah, and thank you very much. I've actually forgotten to mention the fasting, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because a lot of people, when I do speak to them about fasting, or intermittent fasting for that matter, and we talk about 16 hours for life, as the 16 hours is about fasting for 16 hours and having an 8-hour feeding window, they go, oh my word, it's a scary concept to actually not eat for 16 hours. Like, how are we ever going to do that? Will you talk us through your experience of that, how that worked for you on the program?
Yeah, so it was difficult in the beginning because I'm one of those, used to be one of those people that I have to have food in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
But you start conditioning yourself, and I'll have a cup of coffee in the morning, a black cup of coffee if I'm hungry,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm fine. And then I keep myself busy. So
Mm-hmm.
before I know it's 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, then I can eat.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I even go over that time.
Sure.
And because you get so busy, but it doesn't bother me anymore. I'll
Mm.
have my meal when I'm hungry, and then I will eat in the evening again.
Yeah.
And that twice a day at the
Yeah.
moment.
Amazing. And do you also experience that when you do get busy, let's say in the morning, we get busy and our mind is off food, that we don't actually feel hungry, or a hunger pang might come and we just don't have time for it. We're just too busy to
Yeah.
actually do something. And then the hunger just disappears. It goes away. It's like as if it never
Yeah.
was there.
Okay.
And then when it does come back, our body is signaling to us, say, okay, we do need nutrients now. And
Yeah.
then we break our fast. And you say that now, in the beginning, it was a bit difficult to get your mind around it, but now it's something that you practice quite easily.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I just plan around it as well. So if I
Mm.
know that I've got meetings in the morning, then I'll have my breakfast.
Mm.
Then I'll have a meal here around 9, 10 o'clock.
Sure.
I'm not going to, because I just look at my day.
Mm.
If I know that, okay, I'm going to have a busy day and I'm not going to be able to eat, then I'll have breakfast first. But then I will eat my lunch, and I'll have an early dinner, and
Yes.
then fasting will be again. So it's just about planning.
Yeah. Yeah. And just be conscious. And it doesn't have to be also something that keeps your mind busy all the time. Like when we were sugar burners, we were constantly thinking of the food that we need to eat. In this case, it's literally just planning, looking at your day for 5 minutes and saying, okay, this is probably where I'm going to break my fast, right? Which then also means because I've planned and I've got food available for me, I'll eat at the right time in the afternoon, late afternoon. it's not a thing. It's actually the most natural thing to do. And the great thing, of course, is we only do 2 meals and not 3. It takes a lot of time out of the kitchen and prepping and wondering and worrying about food, which helps a lot,
Yeah.
which is really good. And
Yeah.
some
No,
days go by
exactly.
where we eat once. That really is nice.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Vinay, thank you very much for your time. It's been
You're
wonderful
welcome.
speaking to you and sharing your experiences with us. So if you want to know more about 16 Hours for Life and our 12-week program, you can comment below, ask questions, most certainly subscribe to our channel because we bring you more stories every week about mastering your metabolism. So if you've related to Vinay's story, comment, reach out, speak to us, and let's see how we can help you to master your metabolism. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.